Greetings fellow CarNut, welcome to the Subaru Crosstrek 2-litre Hybrid Premium. There's three models in the New Zealand Crosstrek range. There's the entry-level model, which is, funny enough, a hybrid. Then there's the middle range one, which is a non-hybrid. And then there's the top spec one, which is what we're in, and that's also a hybrid. In this 51990 Premium Hybrid, we get leather upholstery, we get the Harman Kardon sound system, we get the native navigation system, we get a sunroof, you know, the usual step up in interior spec that Premium offers Subaru drivers in lots of their models. The car in the middle, which is the 48990 petrol only version, has the same spec as this. So really, the difference of $3,000 gives you the hybrid power system. Yeah, I know it seems like only a couple of years ago that I drove the Subaru XV Hybrid Premium. So a new name, Crosstrek. What else has changed? Well, in this e-Boxer version, they've moved the badge from on the front guard to on the front door. So let's go through the figures on the hybrid. 2-litre petrol engine, 4-cylinder petrol engine, normally aspirated, puts out 110 kilowatts and 190 newton meters. And those figures are pretty ordinary, frankly, for a modern 2-litre petrol engine. But with the hybrid, you get an electric motor to help out. That contributes an extra 12.3 kilowatts and an extra 66 newton meters of torque. In my XV review, which I looked back on, I thought that the hybrid version made a lot of sense because that extra twisting force of the electric motor really helped the CVT transmission, which is still here, just not labor so much. Didn't allow for so much rev flaring, just seemed to calm the whole car down. So I must have been in a really happy mood when I shot that XV video 2 years ago, because I couldn't stop raving about how good the hybrid system was in terms of improving the driving performance. I'm not feeling that, and I'm on exactly the same roads, by the way. I'm coming out to the same roads as I drove on the XV Hybrid. I'm driving in this Crosstrek Hybrid, and I'm just not feeling it as I did then. And now I'm not talking about in spirited driving, because to be fair, the Crosstrek doesn't really encourage spirited driving. I don't know, maybe a couple of years I've just got a bit more experienced with more modern technology. Maybe the car, the small SUV game has moved on so much that this car is now feeling a little bit left behind. It's certainly going to be left behind at the lights. I think CVT transmissions have largely had their day. The modern automatic is so good at fuel saving. It can outperform a manual transmission vehicle for the same spec. They change gears smoothly. It can become like a sequential manual. You've got paddle operation, of course, as you do in this vehicle. It has 7 sort of ratios that it allows you to dial up. But yeah, the modern automatic is just so good. I don't see why people like Subaru persist with CVTs, because they come with all those drawbacks, the rev flaring, the kind of pulling up of the lights if you come to a stop quickly after being at a higher speed. The car will sit there and then gradually drop its revs down as it matches the idle speed that the outside world would say that you need because you're stopped. Those things are just so anti or contradictory to what a driver expects sensorily from sound and just the feel of the car. So a CVT, look, I'm no fan of the CVT. I've made this clear on many occasions. And I feel that it's probably the only thing holding this car back and other Subarus from being truly great cars. You don't get a lot of pure electric driving. In fact, I wouldn't count on any pure electric driving really in the Crosstrek. It'll only drive the vehicle up to about maybe 35, maybe 40 kilometers an hour under really almost no load. It's not an electric vehicle, it's an electrified vehicle. Quite a big difference there. It might take you a few hundred meters in a traffic jam before the engine kicks in. There you go. The electric motor does help in the acceleration of the car or any driving of the car when the brain of the car decides that the engine, the traditional petrol engine, could do with a bit of a helping hand. You can't decide that for yourself. All you can do is watch it happen on a little display at the top of the dashboard here. But let's talk about the fuel economy and the carbon emissions, which is part of your decision maybe to buy a hybrid. In terms of fuel, in the urban cycle, which is the largely, running around town, start-stop, suburban traffic cycle that's standardized as a measurement tool around the world and across manufacturers, the hybrid scores 7.4 litres per 100 kilometre. The petrol version, 9.4 litres per 100 k's. So that's a 2 litre saving in the urban cycle for this hybrid version. In the extra urban cycle, which includes some motorway and sort of open road driving, the numbers get a little bit closer. In fact, they get so close that they're identical. 6 litres per 100 kilometres for both the petrol only and the petrol/hybrid version. So that shows you that the hybrid version is not contributing any electrified driving to your open road travel. The combined cycle score between the two vehicles, so that's a bit of highway driving, a bit of around town driving, 6.5 litres per 100k for the hybrid, 7.2 for the petrol only. So again, 0.7 of a litre per 100 kilometres difference. It's not a lot, is it? It's not a lot at all. So why would you buy the hybrid? There is a slight saving in carbon emissions from this vehicle too. In fact, if we look at the carbon outputs, the petrol car puts out 165 grams, the hybrid version 147. So there is a saving there. It's a good car. It's a good car for handling. I will say that. That has not changed. That was my opinion back a couple of years ago with the XV. It's still very much my opinion in this Crosstrek, of course, because it's essentially the same. So it's a great car for hustling around tight, twisty roads like we tend to have a lot of in New Zealand. It's also a great car for reassured traction in every situation because you've got permanent all-wheel drive, a very sophisticated symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Coming out on this drive today, I had to go across a number of the new sort of raised platforms that Auckland Transport seems to be putting in every road, and they advise, with a little lump on the road sign, they said 25 kilometres an hour, maybe 30 kilometres an hour. Forget it in this thing, just power across at 50 kilometres an hour. The suspension has just got such long travel and so luxuriously dampened that the car doesn't feel unsettled or wallowy when you're driving around windy roads, but it still allows this great suspension travel. That means, speed bumps. Find another way of slowing me down, Auckland Transport, because that alone's not going to do it. I've got a lot of time for the Crosstrek. It's just got a kind of cheeky character. And look, other people have obviously found that too, because in New Zealand, they've sold over 7,000 XVs to people who probably have a similar attraction to its visual appeal and its layout and specification. I mean, now that it's got a 360-degree camera, it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it's got a wireless phone charging platform down here, it's got this new infotainment system in the portrait layout. It's improved on the previous version. You've got your great eyesight driver system for lane departure warning, autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control. So it's got quite a nice amount of tech on it. One thing that is a uniquely Subaru kind of quirk, which I'm getting to find a little bit irritating, is this little orange passenger airbag off illuminated icon up here, and that's always on. Like if there's a passenger in there and the airbag is on, it goes to passenger's airbag on. It doesn't go away, it's always there. So whenever you're driving, particularly at night, it's annoying because you've got this sort of orange light glowing in the top of your peripheral vision. Why is that? Why does it even need to be there? I mean, I don't mind it saying that it's off when there's no one there, but maybe that goes on for, I don't know, 30 seconds when you first start the car up and then it just fades away. But I don't need to be reminded their passenger's airbag is off. I don't care. There is no passenger there. Why would I need an airbag? The rationale for buying the hybrid version of the Crosstrek really depends on a number of things. What sort of driving you do. If you do a lot of slow speed urban crawl in high density traffic, that's a good thing for it. If you are quite concerned about the environment and you want to do everything you can to reduce your carbon emissions, that makes sense for this car. If you want to save a little bit of money at the petrol pump on a consumables level, I guess you'd say, then that makes sense. And if you've got too much money in your bank account and you want to get rid of an extra $3,000, then that's the other reason why the hybrid would make sense. But don't get me wrong, I still really like the Crosstrek.